My relationship with the Phantom Pain has been a rocky one.
Now, I'm a big fan of Metal Gear. I've loved every Metal Gear Solid from the first one back on the PlayStation. But the Phantom Pain, I've had nothing but worry for it ever since it was first teased way back in 2012. The choice to get rid of the iconic David Hayter as the voice of Snake, the decision to move away from a linear, narrative-driven experience into a more open-world setting, these are bold choices to be sure, but couple these with stories of turbulence between Kojima and the troubled Konami, were in my eyes, warning signs.
When Ground Zeroes launched, I just refused to purchase it. At the time, I tried to convince myself it was because I didn't want to just buy a glorified demo. But on reflection, I think I was just bitter about the direction the series was being taken.
So when Phantom Pain finally come out, I was already prepared to ignore it. We've already had GTA 5 for PC, Witcher 3, Mad Max, and we still have Fallout 4, Assassin's Creed and Just Cause to come. My patience for open world games was wearing thin. But then those reviews started dropping. 10 out of 10 IGN, 10 out of 10 GameSpot, near universal praise.
I had to pick it up. So was I disappointed? Well, yeah, I was.
After a lengthy and suitably ridiculous Kojima-esque prologue, you are dumped in Afghanistan on a mission to gain revenge on those that have wronged you. And that's it really. 60 hours in, I haven't really had any more meaningful story progression. It's such a departure from previous games that it's hard not to get upset over the complete lack of narrative direction. Afghanistan is a barren environment to be in. There's no civilians, no different factions fighting with each other, just a lot of copy and paste enemy outposts that get really repetitive really quickly. Especially when, like me, you stick to the side missions.
As is always so tempting to do in these big open world games. But it's not even that open world really.
On paper you can go where you like, whenever you like, but you're limited on how you get there. There's maybe 10 to 12 roads in the area that weave around, but they weave around these big, impassable mountains. There's a few paths that cut through them here and there, but for the most part you're going to have to stick to or very near the roads.
Which presents another problem.
A lot of these outposts are in these mountainous valleys, which means you can't actually approach them directly from the mountain. The game claims you can approach an outpost in any way you like, but really, because of this setup, you can only really approach from two ways, the left or the right. The game looks superb on a technical level, the Fox engine does look really great, but as it's easier to go stealth at night, I really saw all of its majesty in daylight. I got incredibly bored with the same missions of extract someone, kill someone, or destroy something in these identikit outposts.
But then something strange happened. I stopped clinging on to these deeply held beliefs I had about what a Metal Gear game should be, and I cracked on with the main missions. And I started to appreciate the Phantom Pain for what it actually is. The best sandbox soldier simulator there's ever been.
The enemy bases in the main missions are completely different from those seen in the side ops. They're all unique, tightly designed, and give you a real sense of dread when you first approach them and see the amount of enemies patrolling around. There's something very nostalgic about laying on a mountainside, scouting out an enemy base.
As a child, I would lay on the grass and hold up fake binoculars to my eyes, scouting out the enemy's outpost, thinking about how I'm going to infiltrate their base. Their base being, the climbing frame in the local park or something.
I've spent so much time just figuring out enemy patterns, where they walk, what time their shifts change, and possible ways I can get in. Of course, all this planning usually goes to shit, and it's here where the freedom of the game really comes through. Sure, you can stealth your way around the level, avoiding enemies and their cameras, but the amount of weapons and gadgets at your disposal is truly astounding. From standard machine guns and rocket launchers, to inflatable decoys, to the good old-fashioned cardboard box. All unique ways in which to tackle a situation, and each one purposefully designed and an actual viable tactic. If things really go bad, you can always call on your attack helicopter to carpet bomb an area too. Not the most subtle of tactics, but it's a heck of a fun one.
Side note, you can even customise the helicopter to play your own music out of its speaker system.
This is fucking brilliant. The enemy AI, while certainly predictable, never seems to get stale. They react to the way you play the game. Keep going for headshots, they're going to start wearing helmets. Always go on missions at night, they'll start using night vision goggles. While it's not true AI, it's certainly a great illusion and does well in making sure you change up your tactics from time to time.
Oh yeah, you can also build your own base.
Managing your mother base is actually a fairly involved process. By extracting soldiers from the field with the aid of your photon system,
Something that never stops being hilarious.
you can then assign them to different departments of your base. Intel, R&D, combat, medical, which grows your knowledge and technology in these fields and allows development of new weapons and gadgets. You can also send soldiers out on their own missions to earn you money to spend on your ever-expanding base. It's a deep system that can be completely micromanaged based on individual soldiers' stats, or if you're lazy,
Like I am.
it can be auto-assigned, leaving you more time out on the field stopping bad guys. The scope of this game is insane. All these possibilities and no one method punishes you in any meaningful way. So yeah, I like this game. I like it a lot. I can heartily recommend it to anyone. The lack of any real plot, for better or worse, makes it a perfect jumping in point for people with no prior investment in the series.
Hideo Kojima is Metal Gear Solid, and if this really is the last game he works on in the series, then it is a perfect sign-off for one of the very few auteurs we have in this industry. Thanks, Kojima.